Diddy really screwed up, and I'm not referring to his criminal trial, which has him sitting in prison right now, but it has to do with something that happened right before he got arrested. If you've seen the Netflix documentary about Diddy, The Reckoning, which 50 Cent produced, there's some footage there that had never been seen before. This is a photographer that Diddy hired to follow him around and document his life. That footage ended up going to 50 Cent.
And maybe that's what Snoop went through. I don't know. But let the people know, because it was too early back then. Pac just had died.
So this one night, 50 called me up, and they got him on the phone, man. He was just talking. We was talking about old time shit. Sit down with Black Hands, sit down with with Puff Kids, the whole Puff situation, and this documentary that he's going to be.
When 50 Cent released his Netflix documentary Sean Combs' The Reckoning, many believed the spotlight was finally fixed on Diddy, his rise, his influence, and his collapse. But that focus quickly drifted. Online discussions rapidly pulled Snoop Dogg into the mix, driven by rumors suggesting he was staying quiet, under scrutiny, or protected because certain material never appeared in the film. Some commentators pushed those ideas further, reshaping comments from Gene Deal and others into stronger accusations, using old interviews, unclear footage, and secondhand audio to support speculative narratives. As usual, social media amplified the uncertainty, leading fans to question Snoop's silence, speculate about what 50 Cent may know, and anticipate another industry shakeup. However, when the noise is stripped away, the situation appears far less dramatic, shaped more by exaggeration and recycled claims than by verified facts. In this video, we examine how these allegations began, what Gene Deal actually said, what the documentary included and excluded, how Snoop Dogg has responded, and what is confirmed, denied, or still unproven as the situation continues to unfold.
Check out this audio from Suge Knight. It's from his podcast with Dave Mays, and he's speaking on, Tupac and Snoop being cool, and how, after Tupac got killed, Snoop started hanging out with Diddy. And, he also speaks on how, Snoop, he did the Steve Harvey show with Diddy after Tupac got killed. Check this out.
Okay. It's downloading right now.
Then you look at the scenario how everybody used Pac to make their stuff famous or make their project better. You got people who use their songs for Pac and tell them how much they love Pac, but they do songs for Puffy. You got Steve Harvey, old bit that, this motherfucker telling, well, Pac going to everybody else. He brings Snoop and Puffy on there and say, these are dudes who's running this in the East Coast, West Coast.
What's up, Snoop?
Huh? Hey, whoa. Wait a minute, fellas here. Hold on. I know all about this East Coast, West Coast rivalry thing here, but we in Chicago now. This rivalry stuff, we gotta stop it, man. We stop that, we stop a lot of this violence.
Yo, Steve, check this, man. All that East Coast, West Coast stuff is a bunch of media hype. It's been my dog from day one, you know what I'm saying? It's all good between me and him. That's my people.
Real, that's what we came in for. We came in and light it up and ride it up. We never used your hand.
Now, Pac, if you love Pac so much, how you with the motherfucker that everybody say got something to do with the first get down that happened to Pac in New York, then the second one.
What you think about Suge comments? And I never asked you this before, but did you have an issue with Snoop hanging out with Diddy after Tupac got killed?
I always felt that was wrong. I'm gonna just keep it real. I'm talking about from that, like now, okay, you know what I mean? I'm 46, Snoop probably early 50s. If he figured out now, he might go by the opinion like, okay, Puffy had nothing to do with Pac. We're grown now. If he want to be his friend, no problem. But back then, that was just awkward. You know what I mean? And the reason why it was awkward to me that I never even like it because you knew how Pac felt about this individual. You know what I mean? Even if you don't agree with him, you probably could have said, you know what, I probably ain't gonna come out, publicly with this because until things clear up. So I really know I could be certain that, they didn't have nothing to do with Pac. But it's like, it was no, okay, it is what it is. So that I never really respected that back then.
So you had an issue with it. You didn't like it?
Never really liked it. It just was a strange look because you was Pac boy. You know what I mean? Puffy, it's clear they had some issues with Pac. and Pac died, and all of a sudden you chilling with Puffy. Back then, it just, okay, now you can say what you want. You go all grandfathers, I guess. You know what I mean? That's different now. But back then, I think it was weird. It was tasteless. You know what I mean? It didn't seem like you really had that much love for Pac. You could have just, you know what I mean? Unless he pressured them or like questioned Puffy, like, yo, what's up with this? What's up with that? Then you could say, you know what I mean? No problem.
Snoop Dogg's name never appeared in court records, indictments, or the federal charges that sent Diddy to prison. Yet online his name began circulating alongside some of the most serious allegations. This shift largely stems from his long history in the music industry, where he crossed paths with Diddy, Suge Knight, and many influential figures during hip-hop's most turbulent era. Gene Deal, a former bodyguard connected to Diddy, became a prominent voice after the documentary's release, implying in interviews that certain individuals were uneasy because not everything made the final cut. That suggestion alone fueled speculation, with rumor channels claiming 50 Cent withheld footage, names, and details to avoid wider fallout. Because Snoop is highly visible and well-connected, he became an easy target, leading to old clips, resurfaced prison interviews, and unverified claims being recycled as facts. Online narratives quickly equated silence with guilt and association with involvement, yet none of these elements, when examined individually, actually demonstrated wrongdoing by Snoop Dogg, only that he was part of the same industry at the same time.
Like, I believe somebody mentioned that they seen a video with me and the dude Prodigy, or one of the dudes from Mobb Deep, as if I was with. They don't know the backdrop of that. I went to his hotel room ready to fight. Like, bro, I'll fight everybody in that room one-on-one. Even if I lose, it doesn't matter. The Outlaws was with me. My homie Tiny, the Mexican homie, was with me. I didn't go there and say, let me get in a video with these guys. I went there knocking on their door, doom, doom, doom. Tell them dudes to come out. What's up with your and Pac? You got a problem with Pac? Because we could just fight like man to man, face to face, and then shake hands. That was my approach with them. But when they told me they didn't have no problem, I don't mind being with you. You know what I mean? I don't mind shaking your hand because they told me they had love for Pac. So that's different. You know what I mean? If he come out and say, well, I already, I questioned Puffy about it. I believe that he didn't, he loved Pac. That's my opinion. I can move the way I want to move. So when people try to, I noticed somebody, I think on your page, do that. Well, Napoleon was in the video with Mobb Deep. They don't know how I got in that video with Mobb Deep. You know what I mean? I pulled up on them but I'm the type of person, I've never been a bully type of person. You know what I mean? If I talk to a person like a man and they tell me face to face, look, I got love for Pac, I'm comfortable to know if I can look in their eyes, and if I believe what they said, I have the right to say, okay, no problem, I believe you. You know what I mean? And maybe that's what Snoop went through. I don't know. But let the people know, because it was too early back then. Pac just had died. You know what I mean? Like, he had the right to say, the reason why I'm rolling with Puffy, I questioned him about my homie. He gave me this answer. So then he did what he had to do. But it just, you know what I mean? I never really agree with that, to be honest. The same way I couldn't be on the stage with him. When they wanted to do that tribute, I just couldn't do it. Like, I really felt in my heart, like, man, I can't believe this.
This is where the real risk takes hold when association replaces proof, facts give way to suspicion, and narratives drift away from the truth. In moments like these, the loudest voices are often the least reliable. Sean Combs. The Reckoning was never promoted as a sweeping expose of the entire industry. It was clearly centered on Diddy. The documentary followed his rise through Bad Boy Records, the power structures that surrounded him, and the systems that enabled his behavior for years, placing victim accounts at the forefront and examining documented patterns of control while staying grounded in the legal process that resulted in his conviction and 50-month sentence. What it did not do was accuse unrelated figures without evidence. It did not identify Snoop Dogg as being involved in criminal activity, nor did it present any material suggesting wrongdoing on his part. Claims that 50 Cent deliberately shielded Snoop remain speculation, not established fact. And Curtis Jackson has repeatedly stated that the documentary included only what could be verified and legally supported.
Diddy was doing a documentary thinking he was going to come out triumphant.
Yeah, I didn't know that's how this started, as he started filming himself and getting this footage because he thought he was going to beat everything. Okay,
Diddy
that makes sense. Okay,
has a relationship.
Netflix. I knew that
with
Ted Sarandis. I saw that. Yes. Okay.
And he's filming it there, but of course, when you get you know, obviously it wasn't a clean sweep on the prosecutor's side, but you're still going to prison.
Yeah.
He basically kind of scraps it. It's not the, you know, also Netflix is saying, because they commissioned it, right? Netflix is saying, all right, cool, just turn over what you got. And what we'll do, we'll make it what it is because we're just following reality. Diddy's like, well, hold on now. If I lost the case, I'm down to still do it with you, but I got to be able to control it. Now, you know, Diddy was probably going to kind of shape this doc to make it look like, hey, you know, this is malicious prosecution. They kind of went really hard at me. Mm-hmm. I'm not a perfect guy, but I am a good guy.
Yeah.
And Diddy was like, I need to be able to craft it. And Netflix was like, no, you're not. And he's like,
well, my question is, did he sign the footage over to Netflix so they own it? Mm-mm. Like, how were they able to do this without his?
No, but he didn't pay for it. So essentially, they're calling it a payment error. Oh. So essentially, the deal falls apart, or he's like, yeah, we're not going to do this.
So awkward.
And the people who did the work that have all this footage, they're like, so wait, you told us to film because this is going to be on Netflix. Now you're saying Netflix doesn't exist and we're not getting paid because Diddy was going to pay with Netflix money. And Netflix realized this and they went to the filmers and said, hey, give us the footage.
If anything, the documentary showed restraint in a media environment driven by shock value. It avoided naming individuals unless their involvement was supported by records or credible testimony that could withstand scrutiny, which is why claims about suppressed footage remain unproven. No verified clips have surfaced, no court documents mention Snoop Dogg, and no investigators have identified him as a subject of inquiry. In fact, Snoop openly supported 50 Cent after the documentary's release, publicly aligning himself with Curtis Jackson and showing no signs of tension between them. That reality directly challenges the narrative that Snoop was worried about potential revelations, because public backing rarely aligns with fear or avoidance.
We're going to look at this through the prism of a modern-day rhetorical genius. A modern-day rhetorical genius. We're talking about the one, the great, the 50 Cent. All right. This guy's skill at rhetoric is absolutely next level. And this totally ties in with, you know, how he famously is a big fan of Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Now, rhetoric with a capital R, I can just give you the definition of that. That's basically public speech, particularly public speech that is to persuade. Any persuasive public speech is rhetoric, right? Now, we kind of break that down into two subcategories of rhetoric with a lowercase r and dialectic. Rhetoric is essentially everything else, and really what moves the needle with like 97% of people and 100% of groups, okay, is in fact rhetoric with the lowercase r. So again, stuff like this, 50 Cent is an absolute master of. Basically, you know, he dropped this doc, this 50, this Sean Puffy Combs doc, and it's just kind of set the internet on fire. It's beating out Stranger Things. Like, it's a wild ride to watch, right? And one of the things that he does is he breaks down Diddy's character on Diddy's own terms.
One commonly repeated claim stems from statements by Courtney Burgess, who said he possessed flash drives, allegedly connected to Kim Porter, and claimed they contained sensitive material involving public figures. Online commentary quickly filled in gaps by attaching names, including Snoop Dogg, while overlooking important context. Kim Porter's children have publicly denied the authenticity of any materials attributed to her, and authorities have not verified the contents of these drives. In legal settings, unverified material does not automatically imply wrongdoing, and so far, no confirmed documents or footage have named Snoop Dogg or been released. Instead, speculation snowballed as suggestions turned into assumptions, allowing misinformation to spread. Rumors became headlines, and headlines became accepted narratives, despite a lack of proof. Possession of unverified material is not evidence of a crime, as legal standards demand verification and credibility standards often ignored online. As a result, claims that Snoop Dogg is under pressure skip critical facts, as there is no indication he has been questioned, investigated, or linked to any legal action as of December 2025.
Because he wanted them to, both Suge and Pac.
In the car?
They only Pac, and they don't Suge. So allegedly, they got paid $500,000. The $500,000 was paid to the guy on the right, all the way to the right. You see the guy on the right, Corey? He's the one allegedly that got the $500,000, and that money never went to Keefe D or anybody else. The guy on the left is the one that stole the chain, the chain, which was a Death Row Records chain. That's a way of saying I got your rapper's chain, because if you were one of the guys, Death Row. So long story short, this whole thing is in recording that he said this. So what does Diddy do? Rob, can you pull up this song? It's a song called Black Rob, featuring Mark Curry and Mario Winans. If you can just type in lyrics, okay? So he gets $1 million. Can you go to the lyrics? And Diddy's in the lyrics when he gets started. Go a little bit lower.
See it in this game?
Can you type in the word in there, Rob? Nice guy. Type Control F, nice guy. Okay, right there. Look at it's 1999. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Been nice too long. I'm just gonna start making y'all
blank
disappear. Man, first I'm gonna take your records off the radio. Then I'm gonna erase your social security number. Take your birth certificate out, flies. I'm gonna do your whole effing family. Ain't nothing but mercy. And then, by the way, in the lyrics, he says, I'll drop $1 million on your head to erase you. Can you type in, I'll drop $1 million, just put Control F. Just go to Google and type this out. I'll drop $1 million on your head. I'll drop $1 million on your head, and just put Diddy next to it. Right there. See, it says Black Rob. What song came up?
Right.
I'll drop $1 million on your head. Erase you and your whole family, biatch.
Wow.
He's saying it in the song on what he did to get rid of Tupac.
What an idiot.
Suge Knight has made repeated accusations against Snoop Dogg over the years, alleging betrayal, responsibility, and involvement in events surrounding Tupac Shakur's death, and these claims tend to resurface whenever the industry faces renewed scrutiny. However, they are long-standing allegations, not new revelations, and none have been proven. Suge has made these statements from prison, often during high-profile interviews that gain attention largely due to their controversy. Snoop Dogg has consistently denied the accusations, dismissing them as false claims rooted in long-standing rivalry and personal resentment. Importantly, despite multiple investigations into Tupac's death over the decades, law enforcement has never charged Snoop Dogg or named him as a suspect.
For being out there and allowing Misa to come out there to make money, however she was doing it, to feed her family. He vowed down that it's like, yo, I ain't never with her again, and I ain't never with him again. Puff and Suge had a conversation behind the House of Blues about was we all right, and Tupac was alive. Tupac wasn't dead. So if it was a war, Suge ain't having no conversation with Puff about we good. I know he could be doing the Hoboken hustle, trying to fool a brother. But had he killed my man or something like that, I wouldn't have no conversation with Puff. I'd been like, yo, you know what y'all niggas done? You know what happened? And it wasn't no conversation like that, brother. It wasn't no conversation whereas that, Suge made Puff feel like I'm gonna get you a payback for what happened to Jake. This was more so that Puff, for whatever reason, Suge, for whatever reason he was mad at Puff, and Puff, whatever reason he was mad at Suge, it was between them two. It wasn't no whole East Coast wanted the West Coast dead and the West Coast wanted East Coast to dead, because they still was going out, still chilling, still at places with each other. It was Bad Boy and it was Death Row. It was no East Coast and no West Coast. West Coast dudes were still coming out on the East Coast getting love. East Coast was still going out on the West Coast getting love. It was Bad Boy versus Death Row. And that's what it was, bro. And it was because of the two CEOs. But Suge tried to straighten it out. I gotta get at the Suge. The Death Row East Coast, the Death Row East was going to bring in Eric B. It was going to bring in Big D. And those brothers was from the East Coast. So now, they was looking for a representative to come to the meeting from Bad Boy so they could straighten out the between Pac and Big and Death Row and Bad Boy. And Puff is the one who refused. Puff is the one to refuse to send a representative or either come himself. And got mad at Zip and them because they were in the Mirage on 57th Street partying with Suge Knight. Got mad at them. And Zip hung up the phone on behind that.
But what you mean by
Online narratives often mistake repetition for proof, where constant exposure makes unverified claims feel credible despite never being substantiated. That psychological effect is powerful, and many content creators rely on it, while critical context gets ignored. Suge and Snoop's relationship fell apart decades ago amid well-documented business disputes, personal conflicts, and public feuds, which makes accusations from that history something to question, not automatically accept. Repeating those claims today doesn't strengthen them, it simply amplifies the noise.
So, I don't know where you get all the extras from, but they had a conversation at the hospital and all that. That's absolutely not true. Say less, if you know what I mean. But instead of just saying less, since I've been in here, Snoop and other people been having people trying to bail the guy out, Keefy D, because he talking too much. Raising them trying to do stuff for Puffy because they say he talking too much. They even had somebody talk to me and say, hey, you can help him get free. I said, look, I don't have nothing to do with none of that, and I'm not leaving prison to go to Nobody County Jail. To the point they were saying, well, you can't leave and sacrifice a little bit in the county jail to stop that black man from getting life. Hell no. I ain't wishing bad on him at all, because I don't want to see nobody go to prison. And like I told you last time, as I find out more details about certain things, I probably would go to the Vegas County Jail if me and Keefy D was cellies. We have a good conversation after I give him, 6 upside his head, another 6 in his body, and another 2. But yeah, that's different. It didn't happen with Snoop didn't go to the hospital. That's a lie.
A common claim online suggested that Snoop Dogg went silent after the documentary's release, but even a basic review shows that narrative doesn't hold up. He continued posting regularly, commenting on music and business, and even offering public support for 50 Cent. The idea that he disappeared came from selective attention, where details that didn't fit the storyline were ignored. Snoop did not release alarmed statements, remove his accounts, or step away from public life. Instead, he remained active and focused on his ventures, including Death Row Records. In this case, there was no retreat or silence, just a deliberate choice not to engage with rumors that lacked substance.
Just got out the gym, doing my workout boxing. Suge, you right. History would repeat itself. Cause nigga, you wasn't the only nigga in the room, nigga. You wasn't by yourself. It was other people in the room too. I'm not gonna say no names, cause like you said, we don't talk. So why you on here talking? Let that go, man. And as far as Snoop and Corrupt write my album, you ask them niggas that. Them niggas ain't wrote my album. Corrupt helped me with Do You See? Snoop helped me with This DJ. Other than that, everything else I wrote. So that's where you wrong at again. And as far as the tough guy, do you recall when we was at the World Club and it said Death Row and NWA? Who fired on that? Me. When you was at the Comedy Store, fighting that little buff ass at the Comedy Store, who saved your motherfucking ass? Me and C-Style. So what have I done to you? For you to launch out at me? Look, don't get mad at me, man. I ain't never done nothing to you. I wasn't signed to you. So
The difference between Snoop Dogg and Diddy right now isn't popularity, it's evidence. Diddy's conviction followed years of investigations, testimony, and legal findings, while Snoop's name has been pulled into the conversation through association and speculation alone. As of December 2025, federal updates show no charges, no indictments, and no active cases involving Snoop Dogg. And that distinction matters. In an era when powerful figures are being held accountable, the absence of action from law enforcement is not protection, it reflects a lack of proof. The industry may be under pressure, but not everyone affected by the fallout is guilty. And blurring the line between rumor and reality only undermines the truth when it truly counts.
In a documentary, there's a couple things I'll share with you guys on what I took away from it. But Rob, maybe share the clip on how he got access to some of the footage of the documentary. Is this the one, Rob?
Yep.
Go for it.
How did you get that footage of Diddy?
I figured most journalists would not disclose their sources.
Does he know y'all have this in the doc?
I would doubt he knows.
So when this airs, that'll be the first time that his legal team, Diddy, that everybody knows that this footage is now seeing the light of day.
Perhaps. Combs' team firing back in a statement to NBC News, saying the Netflix so-called documentary is a shameful hit piece and that they relied on stolen footage that was never authorized for release. His team sending a cease and desist to Netflix.
Okay, so that doesn't mean it's not true. Of course. But they relied on stolen footage, okay, is what they relied on. And then they ask about the history of 50 and him, issue that they've had. What's the one you just pulled up, Rob?
This is where they talk about the feud, and then I also have 50 Cent talking about Diddy's reaction to the documentary.
Yeah, that's so funny. That is so funny. But watch this one here. Go ahead, Rob.
How do you respond to people who say that it's more about the disdain that you have for Sean Combs than it is for giving the victims a platform?
What they consider a pre-existing beef, right? For 20 years, right? It's me being uncomfortable with him suggesting that he takes me shopping, or I looked at it like it was like a tester. Like maybe you'll come play with me type of thing, right? And it's not personal.
I think it's important to also let people know that the show is not completely the perspectives of people that did not like Sean. We weren't trying to just get the highlights, the salacious details, that the real goal was to storytell. And not everyone needed to have an allegation to be a part of this project.
Yeah, I mean, so that's that part, right? The fact that the feud with the two of them, hey, let me take you shopping. Like you say that to a girl in 50s, like, what are you talking about? Take me shopping. How do you have a flipping mind? You want to take me shopping? And then last but not least, Rob, the other clip you have of 50 is talking about how he thinks Diddy's going to like this documentary. Go ahead, Rob.
Sean Combs watches this. What do you think he's going to feel?
Like, wow, this is amazing. I think he's going to say this is the best documentary I've seen in a long time.
She can't even hold it.
Because you'll see people saying that. I mean, he may feel a different way about pieces and bits of it, but he knows the truth. I think he'll see the truth.
Right now, Snoop Dogg is caught in one of the internet's most familiar patterns, turning uncertainty into accusation, old conflicts into supposed proof, and speculation into fear. But when the dramatic headlines and reaction clips are stripped away, the reality is straightforward. There is no verified footage, no charges, and no disappearance. This story isn't about Snoop panicking. It's about how quickly narratives form when a powerful figure falls and anyone nearby becomes suspect by association. As the Diddy fallout continues and more information emerges, the real issue isn't who the internet targets next, but whether facts will be allowed to outweigh rumors. Will truth speak louder than speculation, or will assumptions keep deciding guilt before evidence has a chance? Share your thoughts below, subscribe for more updates, and as always, stay informed and stay grounded.